My thing is, I don't think the guy should even be in the boxing ring with a pro boxer, but to be in a boxing ring with a pro boxer at that caliber of level, it doesn't make any sense in my opinion, outside of money. But hey, that,
I
he's
mean,
gonna he's gonna see the difference between a former athlete in a different sport going into the boxing ring and a
it's actually
boxer.
this is actually his brother fighting.
What?
His brother Logan Paul is fighting Floyd. It's not Jake Paul.
No, I said Logan Paul.
Oh, okay. But you said you're gonna. No, I get what you're saying. But you said he's gonna find out how it is to fight a real boxer. But that was his brother that fought Nate Robinson.
Really?
I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love.
And now for our feature presentation.
Balls Deep with Devin and Jovan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Balls Deep with Devin and Jovan. It's episode 31. There's a small amount of sports news that we got to talk to you guys about in the beginning of the episode, but we're going to utilize this episode for you guys to get to know us. And we'll answer some icebreakers for you guys, just so you can, get to know us. So to start off, there was a trade that broke out in the NBA. John Wall got traded to the Rockets. Russell Westbrook got traded to the Wizards. Along with John Wall, the Wizards traded a first-round pick so that the Rockets can take his contract because I think, is the worst contract in the NBA at currently. Like, it's the hardest to move. So, what do you think of that trade? What do you think? How do you think that will impact this upcoming season? And we'll start right there.
Um, I think this trade is a lot more in favor of Houston if John Wall can manage to stay healthy, like for a season at least. Because I do think, in all honesty, Russell Westbrook, obviously a former MVP, but I think he's the hardest player. I don't want to say he's the worst player of everybody involved, um, because he's obviously a former MVP, averaged a triple double for 2 straight seasons, undeniable talent. But I think he's the hardest player to win with out of James Harden, John Wall, Bradley Beal, and Russell Westbrook. I think he's the hardest player to win with. I don't see him and Beal working out because I do think Beal is the better player. I think that the Wizards want to build around Beal. I don't think Westbrook coming in is going to really change that. Um, and I feel like that's not going to sit well with Russell because he already said he needs the ball in his hands. And that's kind of why I say that he's also the hardest to win with because he's not as consistent as these guys. And so I think, like I said, if John Wall can stay healthy, I think him and James Harden will be a great duo over in Houston.
So for me, initially, I said the Wizards won the trade, and the reason why I said that was because they were missing John Wall being on the court. So to get a player like Russell Westbrook, who's on the court a good majority of the time, I want to say like at least 85% of the time he's on the court, and he's gonna give you 110% no matter what. They just need his presence of that nature on the court. They have a similar play style in terms of playing fast, being super athletic. However, I do think John Wall is the better player of the two. Um, it just sucks that the Wizards had to trade a first round pick to get rid of him because of due to his contract. But I'm in agreement with you. If John Wall can play and he's anything like his old self prior to the injuries, the Rockets won the trade. They got draft capital that they needed, and John Wall I think will be a better fit next to James Harden than Russell Westbrook was. Um, but just as long as the Rockets have James Harden on that team and John Wall's healthy, they have a pretty interesting squad. to make some noise. I'm not saying they're gonna win anything, but to make some noise in the playoffs because they do have DeMarcus Cousins, who we don't know what to expect from, but if he's anything like himself,
Yeah.
that's solid. They just signed Christian Woods, who just had a big season in Detroit. And they still have Eric Gordon. That they have a solid five. PJ Tucker, they can make some noise, and they're honestly just collecting draft capital with the Covington trade and now this. So I think John Wall is there to stay for a long time because he's not going anywhere with that contract. Westbrook, I hope he does well with the Wizards. But my thing is, the whole reason why they're trading John Wall to begin with was because I guess when the executives in the Washington Wizards organization said that they plan on building around Bradley Beal, he felt some kind of way, and he wanted out. But my thing is, my guy, you haven't played in how long, and you expect them to build around you? You need to be on the court in order for them to build around you. What do you expect? You shouldn't be jealous of someone that you're calling your brother. And I'm not doubting that they're cool off the court because I'm pretty sure they are. They've spent some time for a while, but for you to be jealous of that is ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, okay. To move on from that, also breaking news was Floyd Mayweather is supposed to fight Logan Paul, the YouTuber who fought KSI probably last year.
Not Jake Paul, the one that knocked out Nate Robinson.
Jake Paul, yes. So not confuse the two. Jake Paul is the one that knocked out Nate Robinson. That's his brother. Logan Paul is fighting Mayweather. How do you feel about it?
Well, now that we got that under the wraps, and I know it's not the same guy, I still don't understand it. Obviously, it's a money thing. I'm pretty sure it's going to charity, but I still don't understand it. I don't think either of them. Who cares which Paul brother we're talking about? I don't think either of them just need require or they shouldn't be in the ring with a pro boxer, especially at the caliber of Floyd Mayweather, whether he's retired or not. He's still one of the best, and they shouldn't be in the ring with him regardless. So obviously, it seems to be more of a charitable exhibition, so that'll be it. But it'll be interesting to see how this pans out for the Paul brother.
Originally, I wasn't interested. I was kind of bothered by the fact that, it's clear. It's like a clear money grab. It's a YouTuber. It's a former, boxer, future Hall of Famer, going to fight an exhibition match. So obviously, it looks like a money grab. But if it is indeed obviously a charity exhibition, and it's actually helping people, hopefully, then obviously I'm not going to knock that.
Yeah, and to shift, we're going to start with the icebreakers for you guys. And the first icebreaker that I'm asking you is, so the viewers know who about you a little bit more. What sports did you play growing up? And what sports do you wish you would have played? Because me personally, I know you played a good amount of organized sports. So since you played so many, what is a sport that you would wish you would have played?
These are all at different times and stages of my life. But I've played baseball, I've played football, I've played basketball, I've played soccer, I've played tennis, I've wrestled. I think that's it. But if I had to pick up a new sport, I don't really know. I honestly, the only thing I wish is I would have played certain sports more. I picked up tennis late in life, soccer late in life, and those are some really just overall fun sports to play. Sports you get enjoyment out of playing, especially because I'm really competitive, so I love playing tennis. I only got to do 1 year of wrestling in my life, which that was also a really good experience. Because that's a whole nother mentality. It's literally you and another person fighting. So you know, more so just wish I would have been able to play some for longer periods than anything.
Yeah, so my list isn't nearly as long. I only really played organized baseball from basically t-ball all the way up into high school. Um, I I love the sport. I'm happy that I was involved in it just because I made friends out of it. I know me and you played baseball uh for 1 year, which was still a fun experience. We had our family, in the stands rooting us on. But once, well, I also played summer league basketball, but I don't know if that counts. So
Organized.
it was organized, but it wasn't. It is what it is. But one sport that I tried to get into, but it never really happened, was football. My mom didn't want me to play football growing up because she didn't want me to get beat up, or like it's a rough sport, so she didn't want me getting hit and everything like that. And the 2 years that I tried to participate in football, it was eighth grade and ninth grade. So eighth grade, I broke my thumb playing baseball, so which kept me out of that. And then I broke my hand freshman year before the football season happened, so I didn't even get a chance to do that. So that, and my mom was more open to allow me to play that. Basketball, I wish I took that more seriously though, because I was nice at one point in time. Um, I'm not nice anymore. I'm buns, but I had a jumper back in my day. But I think if I was playing organized basketball with coaches, someone to help me define my skills, you can say, or help sharpen my skills, I think I could have done something with that talent. But my brother, he's got the resources, my little brother, so he's got the talent, and I'll let him have it. So, shout out Carter. But
So I would have been in the league.
nah, I wouldn't say all that. But I think I would have had a chance. I would have been that white boy sitting in the corner. Swish. But going from there, let's talk. Let's tell the viewers, what is your favorite sport and why.
Well, they change. It's got to be. I mean, to watch is probably to watch. It's got to be MMA or football. To play, probably basketball or tennis. Honestly, tennis more so. It's like a self-relying game. It's a one-on-one. You really only have to depend on yourself. Obviously, in singles, so you're really just depending on one person, and so you're gonna go as far as you push yourself. So that's why I really like that game, because I get really competitive um, overall in a lot of sports. Because I enjoy them, but yeah, to watch it's got to be football. Obviously, I love watching the Giants play. They obviously just upset the Seattle Seahawks tonight, so I was really excited about that. You know what I mean? I had to slide that in there.
Slide that in real
I've
quick.
been saying that they were gonna, do some stuff, but that's for another time.
Well, now that before I move on, I just realized I didn't mention it before, but for you viewers out there, we next week's episode we plan on doing an NBA special. Being that the NBA season is approaching, we plan on having guests on. So if you're interested, make sure to tune in. We'll give you our thoughts and analysis for the upcoming season. But don't worry about it. Not everyone on the show will be Lakers fans, so you'll definitely get different perspectives on the show. But to answer the question on my side, my favorite sport has to be baseball. I played it all my pretty up. I throughout high school, and I miss it till this day. Now that I'm no longer playing it. I have a body of a 90-year-old, so how that goes. Physical activity. My back be feeling like Mike Tyson did that after that fight. My back is broken. What do you mean? Spinal. That's literally me all the time. If you don't believe me, ask Jovan. After every time we play anything, there's always sign hurting. But what I love about it though, it's more of a mental game than it is a physical. Like, yes, it's great to be a physical specimen and be a great athlete, but baseball, you could literally, it's more about the mental game. You got to be ready at all costs. You have to prepare for everything. Analytics play a good part, which I love about it because it's all about tendencies and things like that too. And to me, baseball is one of, if not the hardest sport to play. Um, just because it's not easy to hit a 90-mile-per-hour fastball or even these breaking balls that they have to throw. In a short period of time, you have to make a decision whether you want to swing or not.
Yeah, a lot of
And
balls in the league are at 100.
and it's
Yeah.
and it's a lot of muscle memory as well too. So uh, it's more of a mental game. Yogi Berra once said, baseball is 90% mental and the rest is physical. And baseball is truly that sport where hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That's baseball, in my opinion, and that's one of my favorite quotes to this day. I'm gonna stand by it. But I agree. So baseball, I love it to death. But so that's my favorite sport. But in order to watch on TV, I wouldn't say baseball. A lot of people say they're not fans of baseball because it's boring. And honestly, I think it's more of the announcers because you go to the games, they're phenomenal. Watching it, the atmosphere, it's electric. But if we're talking TV, I have to say football, just because it's very barbaric and very entertaining. So uh, it's hard not to be attracted to
Yeah.
physical violence. So bouncing off of that, we're gonna talk about our favorite sporting experience. So what's your favorite sporting experience?
To play off what you said before, how you said to watch on TV, baseball can be less than exciting sometimes. But to be there is great. And so my favorite sporting experience has to be when I went to a Houston Astros versus Yankees game in 2018. With a buddy of mine, Manny, who is an Astros fan. Shout out to Manny, who's actually on the Expansion podcast. So go watch them.
Nice plug. Nice plug.
And so, yeah, so it's the Yankees versus the Astros, and the Yankees are down, I believe, 2 runs. And Gardy hits a 2-run shot to tie the game up. And then in the 10th inning, bottom of the 10th, Gleyber Torres, who was a rookie at the time, hit a walk-off double to win the game. It was the most electrifying experience. It was a great atmosphere to be in. Literally nobody was sitting down. Everybody was up off their seats cheering. Just felt good.
All right, so I got a few things to talk about here, and I'll mention which one is my favorite. But this was probably the hardest icebreaker to answer for me, just because I've been to so many sporting events,
Yep.
and whether that be baseball, basketball, or football, because those are my 3 favorite sports, and I've witnessed some crazy shit happen. So I remember I went to, it was RG3's rookie season. Giants, Redskins, MetLife Stadium. Victor Cruz, Eli Manning hit Victor Cruz on, I don't even know what kind of route it was off the top of my head, but he hit him, and Victor Cruz was out. And all I remember is that was the game winner. And I looked over to my stepbrother on the side of me, and we started jumping in celebration to the point we broke the seat. We broke the seat, but we didn't give a fuck because we won, and it was a great experience. And I remember my girlfriend who's a 49ers fan I mentioned on the show before. We went to our very first Giants 49ers game at MetLife, and this was when we should have lost. So they threw it, and boom, we caught it. But the ref said no, it hit the ground. Then she looked at me. She was chatting, talking shit like, "How we won? No, bring that shit back. Then Eli Manning hit Larry Donnell in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. That was great. Hey, me going to LA to watch the Lakers in the Staples Center. It was always a dream of mine. It was a dream come true. I've dreamt of it since watching like Mike and the scene where he's selling chocolate in the parking lot. That was at the Forum, not the Staples Center, but you get the gist of it. It was a dream of mine, and me going to LA to watch them play. It wasn't Kobe. I was a year too late. I mean, not going to LA, but going to my first pro basketball game. I was a year too late, but that in itself was a great experience. I watched LeBron though, and that came down to the wire as well. Fucking LeBron missed a free throw, and then I think got the rebound and scored, put us up 1, and then we had to play defense against Trae Young to make sure we won the game. And then but the one I didn't mention is probably my favorite. I went to the ALCS Game 3, Yankees Astros, with my brother, and the reason why it's my favorite, it was last minute. It was last minute. I was in school at the time, and he writes me the day of, "You trying to go to the game?" And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Can't. I got school. I got an exam tomorrow." And he was like, "All right." And then after like an hour of thinking about it, I was like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm down." So we bought our tickets right there and then. We went and took the train to New York. Literally got there as the game's about to start. Or like we walked through the gates as the first pitch is getting thrown. Best experience of my life. The atmosphere was electric. Homer after homer. Yankees won 8-3 just to sum it short. But by the end of the game, we moved from left field, probably second level in Yankee Stadium, to third base line. And it was beautiful. It was amazing. I want to do it again. So the Yankees, please, actually do something so I can experience that. And hopefully this COVID shit can just pass. But since we're mentioning our favorite, I'll mention my least favorite. And that's when we went to the Yankee game for your birthday.
Oh.
And this was the closest I got to ever catching a baseball. Brett Gardner throws the ball to our section directly at me. And I go to catch it with my right hand. No, it was my left hand. And Manny, if you watch the Expansion Pack podcast, Manny's a big guy, all right? He's next to me. So my arm's already pinned, so I only got one hand. I go to go catch it, and this dude Manny, I was gonna go catch that too. He pushes my hand, and the ball literally hit my hand and got pushed 2 rows up, and the guy like 2 rows up got it. And then all these guys, Isaiah, Jovan, Manny, all blame me because it hit my hand. But I'm pretty sure I would have caught it if Manny did not hit me.
Passing the blame, Butterfingers. Come on now.
No, bro, it was Manny. I'm telling you, he smacked my hand. But that was probably the worst experience of my life because I'm never gonna let it down because that was the closest I got to catching a baseball, and it broke my heart to this day.
Broke my heart too.
And it was for your birthday. Honestly, it was a good game though. It was a good game, but that just ruined it all for me.
Yeah. That was a tough one.
But go to the next one.
So from there, we're gonna talk about our Mount Rushmore of athletes. It could be of however you want to, choose them. That's how you want to choose them.
All right. So just to put it out there, I'm not picking there's greats in all these sports, but I'm not picking anyone on my Mount Rushmore that I've never watched personally growing up. So if I never watched them in person on TV, I'm not putting them on the list. So like Roberto Clemente is my favorite baseball player ever, but he's not going on the list. Michael Jordan, he's the greatest ever according to some. He's not on the list. Like I've watched highlights of them, but not, So first would be Kobe. He's my favorite athlete ever. I could talk forever about, what he's done on the court, but we already talked about that, like what he meant to us. He was I idolized him growing up. He was everything. But it's also what he did off the court. He was known around the world. he was global. He was a global superstar, and as a humanitarian, he did a lot of stuff on the low. He didn't really do things to in the public eye. Like there's just small things that he did. Like he would reach out to certain people when they're at their lowest. Just reach out to them, see how they're doing, and it's things like that that was astounding. So he's my number one. This is gonna surprise some folks because I'm not a huge fan of this guy in terms of him being a player, but he's also on my favorite team, LeBron. I'll put him there. He's one of the greatest to ever play the game. There's no arguing about that. As much as I hate the Bron-sexuals, you gotta respect the guy, especially why I'm putting him on the list for what he's done off the court as a humanitarian. He's done some great things. His influence on the younger generation has been amazing. He's one of those athletes you want your kid to look up to. He's like a model citizen. You never really see any bad news about him in the news unless it's about sports and his performance. So he'd be my number two. Number three, I say Adrian Peterson. Obviously, the numbers don't really matter, but Adrian Peterson, he's the guy who really got me into football. He's my favorite football player. T. Barber was my first football player, favorite football player because he was on the Giants, and obviously they're my favorite team. But when I got into watching the sport, Adrian Peterson, I followed him from his senior year in Oklahoma to the NFL when I fell in love with him on the Vikings. My brother put me onto him, so shout out to him. He'd be my number three. He's just a juggernaut, and just the things that he does. And the season where he came off of his knee injury and blew up, ended up winning, Offensive Player of the Year that year. But he was in the running for MVP, and he almost broke the record, the rushing record. Just goes to show that how big of a stud he is and how big of a monster he is.
One of the greatest running backs ever.
And the crazy thing is, he's still going at it at the age that he is. He's not at the level that he was at, but he's still got some juice left. So don't sleep on the guy. And the last one was hard for me to fill because I wanted to put a baseball player up there, but the first baseball player I thought of was Derek Jeter, but I don't want to put Derek Jeter up there because Derek Jeter he was never my favorite player. Like, I respected him, but he was never my favorite player. And as crazy as it sounds to be a Yankee fan, he was never my favorite player. But I want to put the Sandman, Mariano Rivera, up there. The only other person to ever wear the 42 after he was retired. He's the greatest closer of all time.
He's the greatest player at his position.
Well, he's the greatest closer of all time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he was Mr. Reliable. He was coming in as a Yankee fan, when you knew he was going in the game, you can chalk that up, or like not even chalk it up. You knew you were in good hands. So like,
comfortable.
He was that guy from, when the Yankees started winning championships in the late '90s, early 2000s to when he retired. He was always that guy. So that's my four. I'm probably missing some people, but that's my personal list. How about yourself?
Sorry. So my personal list is really just based off my favorite players growing up. So it's not really saying that any of these players are the greatest at their sport specifically, but it's just who I grew up watching in each sport from really just my favorite teams because they were my favorite players. One is probably Derek Jeter. That one's kind of easy. Growing up as a Yankees fan and playing baseball, and you wanted to like emulate your entire game after, one of the greatest shortstops to ever play the game. I played shortstop when I was younger, so obviously watching him, it was like you got to be like Derek Jeter. My aunt used to call me Little Jeter. You know what I mean? Because I was nice with it. So, but So that one's easy. It's like just growing up as a Yankees fan and playing baseball. It's like even if you weren't a Yankees fan, you wanted to be like Derek Jeter. The second one is Kobe Bryant. Obviously, like the impact that he had on the game on and off the court. Just the knowledge that he shared after he retired with a lot of the younger guys. Obviously, how he dominated his entire career, winning 5 championships. You know, just like I said, the impact that he has in basketball everywhere, even just like street basketball, pulling jumpers, yelling Kobe. It's just like it's second nature.
The
So
culture.
yeah, so that's number two. Number three is probably Eli Manning, because whether you love him or you hate him, you can't say that he wasn't the most consistent piece on the entire Giants franchise for like the last 16 years or whatever. Obviously, uh, whether he was good or he was bad, he never missed a game because of injury. And we have 2 titles because of him.
He always showed up when it
And
mattered.
he's the only player that's like been rostered as long as as long as that. So
But he always showed up when it mattered most too, whether that's
100%.
the playoffs or fourth quarter.
So that's number three, and then number four is a wild card kind of. It's Ray Lewis from the Baltimore Ravens. Growing up, Ray Lewis obviously probably one of the best linebackers of all time. Um, and obviously watching football, I'm a Giants fan, but Ray Lewis actually, you know, made me gain a little bit of an interest in a different team just because he was so good. He was so feared by every offensive player in the entire league. Um, just like the confidence that he exudes, the swagger that he got when he's on the field, before the game, after the game, how fucking hype he is and like makes you want to run through walls. He gives speeches. He's just like the ultimate like hype man player
It's right
that
now or never.
that
It's
shows
right
up
now or never.
always. So
The greatest Madden intro of all time was Ray Lewis.
yeah. So that's number four for me.
I mean, I think both of those lists are interesting. I would like to come out with more lists, whether that be top 5 favorite currently or of all time in different sports. We're not gonna do that now, obviously. It's just gonna take some more thought process in it. I honestly enjoyed talking about this. Honestly, I don't even know what we have left. But let's start off with it's what's either the best and or favorite sports movie ever in your opinion?
So for me, it's between 2 tough ones. It's either Remember the Titans or it's Coach Carter. Um, I love a few. I love. I mean, there's really no better movie in my opinion for me, than a feel good movie. You know what I mean? Because it makes you feel good. Um, and that's exactly what those movies were. I mean, obviously they were just uh, amazing movies in general. Obviously they were about sports, but just how inspiring they both were. Especially Coach Carter. The Timo Cruz quote, "If you know, you know."
Hit him
Just
with it. Hit
overall,
him with it.
if you know, you know. But it's they're both great movies. They're feel good movies. They're great sports films. They have a lot of lessons in them for life, not just sports in general, but just life. And they're films that will stand the test of time for forever, and not just as sports movies, but as good films.
All right. So for me, I already know my favorite sports movie of all time. It's Hardball. If you don't know it, that's a movie with G Baby. All right. That's the movie with G Baby. And
Gee, baby.
If G Baby's death is not the one that hit you the most right here, I don't want to talk to you. His death hurt the most.
My boy
Like no
just got
matter how
his
many times
first
I watch
hit
that
of the
movie,
season too.
huh?
My boy just got his first hit of the season. He got his first
Bro,
at bat
bro,
of the season.
bro, every time, no matter how many times I watch that movie, I cry, bro.
This is
And at that moment, and that was the first movie that I heard a song from Biggie Smalls. And my brother and uncle are huge Biggie Smalls fans. They put me onto his music, but that's why Big Papa stands as my favorite song of all time. No, not my favorite song of all time. My favorite song ever from Biggie Smalls. Cause I love it when you call me Big Papa. Yeah, exactly. So that's my favorite movie of all time. my top three is always solidified. It's, you know, Hardball, like Mike. The first one, the second one, I don't talk about it because that shit was whack. Um, I'm talking about the one with Lil Bow Wow or Bow Wow now. I mentioned it earlier, talking about the scene with him selling chocolates outside of the forum. And my third one is Space Jam. It's kind of hard not to not like Space Jam, especially as a kid. Looney Tunes, Michael Jordan, basketball. It's that song, that intro music, and then to finish it off with R. Kelly, with the "I believe I can fly," him coming off the ship. I'm gonna go play baseball. Yeah. So those are my three favorite, but my favorite is Hardball. But the best movie, in my opinion, is not my favorite. It's the movie one of the movies you mentioned. It's Remember the Titans, and the reason why I'm saying that is not only a great sports movie, but it defeated two purposes at once. It was a feel good movie. It was a feel good movie in regards to sports, but it touched on a lot of life lessons, a lot of battles that not only the world was dealing with, but in sports, but just the world in general. It was about like segregation,
Yeah.
Whites versus blacks at the time. It was so, but it was seeing whites and blacks come together because of sports, and that's a lot of not even just white and blacks. It's not even a race thing. It's more I've experienced it myself playing baseball. Regardless of your backgrounds, you always seem to come together for one thing.
For a
And
game.
yeah, for a game, whether that be, it doesn't matter the sport, and that honestly builds camaraderie. And to see the two main characters in that movie, like the captains,
Go from hating each other practically.
yeah, from being arch enemies to being best friends, and then it was great. And Denzel Washington does what Denzel Washington does, knocked it out the fucking park. So that's why I said that's the best movie. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely in my top 5.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. Now, I believe this is the last question.
Now we got two more.
Okay. If you could pick a current athlete to have on the show, or as current as possible, who would you want to have on the show?
So this is tough because obviously when you think about it, you want the top guys, but my guy is not a top guy, but he's a he's a he's a phenomenon in his own category. Um, you know, in a former social media post, he said something along the lines that how'd you get stiff armed like this by a TikTok influencer? I want Juju Smith-Schuster on the show. He's our age, or around our age at that. He's probably the most relatable.
Trying to create a TikTok with Juju after the episode.
I'm not a TikToker. I don't even have TikTok. But
if he was ever
but
on
if I had the
show,
opportunity to, I would. I'm not even gonna lie. But he's probably one of the most relatable players in any sport at the moment. He's around our age. Like he's into a lot of the similar stuff that we are into, and he's funny at his own. I don't even know what I was gonna say. He's funny.
Yeah.
So I think with our show being balls deep and it's a sports show, I think he'll have fun with that. I don't know if your guy would even want to be on the show after you told him our name of the show.
No, but I gotta. If I could have anybody on here, it would have to be Marshawn Lynch. Obviously, he's just a great dude. He's got a funny personality. He really just goes on places, speaks his mind. He's got great commentary. Anything he says is a great sound bit because, I mean, he really just says how he feels and just comes out as funny. So, but he's obviously a great athlete. He's a good dude, a great personality. So it's just somebody that I would like to have on here, ask a few questions, and just, I think it, he'd give us an enjoyable, show.
Enjoyable experience, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love a lot of athletes, but Juju is like the first one to come to mind just because he's new school. He appealed to the newer crowd, but also he's a pro athlete and he could give us some really good insight. He's still, he's not, still at the top of his game. He's not. He's gonna reach there sooner enough, but he's also right now on the best team in NFL, current by record. So he can give us some insight on what it's like to play with Big Ben, or I played with Antonio Brown, like, or just talk about him being in like a famous fantasy football league, um,
Give us
being a
some tips,
TikTok
maybe. Yeah, give
influencer.
us some tips for my fantasy football team, even though I don't really need them.
Draft Juju. That's the insight.
Oh, thank you, sir. I will. I will not take
I
that
mean,
advice.
he's still a top receiver in the NFL. I wouldn't put him top 10, but he's definitely still a top receiver. Um,
Yeah, I'll
he
draft
does it.
Juju in like the fourth, fifth round.
He does this thing, but that's why I would like to have Juju. He's that guy. I mean, he's got really cool friends. I think he played Fortnite at some time with Drake or with Ninja, who played with Drake. I don't know, but he's a gamer. We're gamers.
Yeah,
I love to have him on the show.
yeah, he's a cool dude.
So the last question that I would like to pose to you, it's a question out of left field, but in which sport would you compete? Doesn't matter if it's weird or not. That if in which sport would you compete that'll fetch you at least one award? What sport do you think you could at least win one award in?
At what level?
It doesn't matter the level. What sport do you think you could win it? Win something in?
None. You know, if I'm being completely honest, I mean, if I wanted, you have to want to put in the time and the effort to practice that sport every day. And not that I don't enjoy playing them, but at this point, I mean, I don't really try to play like competitive sports. You know what I mean? I wouldn't really want to be. I wouldn't want to have to put in that time to get into a competitive sport right now. It'd be tough. It'd be tough.
So for me, I mentioned in the beginning of the show, I got a body of a 90-year-old. So you ain't gonna see me out in no field, no court, nothing winning anything at this current moment. But the sport I chose, I don't even know if it's a sport, but I know some this kind of sport or something similar does get played on ESPN.
Uh-oh.
Put me in the ice cream eating contest. I got you, fam. You already know how I am with my ice cream. I'll probably shit my brains out afterwards, but I'll definitely win something. I seen something on social media where there's something in Connecticut that said there's like it's like a wagon of ice cream.
Yeah.
You gotta eat it in 30 minutes. I sent it to my girlfriend and I said, checkmate. I'm gonna get this motherfucker sooner or later. She's like, that's like eating a tub of ice cream. I'm like, I'll go to the fucking store right now and I'll practice that motherfucker. I honestly think I'll pull it off.
I don't know. I think Nathan's hot dog eating contest is better suits you.
Hell no. I'm not fucking dipping my buns in water.
Oh man.
I got nothing on Joey Chestnut because that man can eat.
Oh man, that's funny.
He likes him some glizzies, but I can't partake in that. Manny can because he said glizzies is out. But as I still eat hot dogs. I don't care if you guys call it glizzies, glizzy gladiator. Hot dogs are good. Manny loves them. But the hot dog eating contest is not for me. The ice cream eating contest now is for me. That's something I can partake in.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't be able to do that.
You don't think I can pull it off?
Oh, you could probably pull it off. But I don't know if I consider that a sport.
Listen, for the viewers out there that don't know me personally, my dad rented out a ice cream truck for my birthday. It's because I don't drink liquor, and obviously, people pop bottles on the 21st. I pop ice cream trucks, right? So before that guy left, I made sure to get like 3 cones, a milkshake. That I'm good, bro. I think I can pull it off. But
attest to
if one
that.
sport I would like to pick up now, like that we're being serious, I would like to pick up boxing. Um, Not saying I'll be good at it, but I think that'd probably be the one thing to help me get in shape. So it'll help me
Well,
with that.
yeah,
And
it's funny you say that though.
and two, I think my body can withstand it. As bad as my back hurts, it doesn't involve like MMA, where you're wrestling and everything like that. But boxing, I think I could, with the technique and the training, I think I could do something. And I'm obviously not planning on being a pro, but I think I could win something in the amateurs.
Might fix some of them crackles in your bones too.
It might help my back. That I need to fix. I need to get some fix my core so my back don't feel broken all the
But
time.
I think one sport I'd like to get into is mixed martial arts. Obviously, a former guest we've had on the show, if you've been watching us, Nico, he practices mixed martial arts, and he's trying to get at least amateur fights and start going on that road. And me and him were in a gym together at one point, and we both enjoy watching and doing mixed martial arts. So that's something I'd like to do, but more as a hobby, just enjoy.
Yeah, more
Because
as a hobby, obviously.
enjoying it,
Like when I was going to the gym and I was going with Tony, he would bring his boxing gloves and his pads, and I'd do some some punches combinations and stuff like that, and I enjoyed it a lot, honestly. And I honestly think if I took it seriously, I could lose some weight. I could get good at it. Um, but and I think it would help my health in terms of my back and everything like that too. So that's the one sport. But like MMA, I think that'd be too much on my body. I'm an old man at this stage of life. So I don't think that would work out for me. But wrestling, my uncle is like a big time wrestler, or he used to be a big time wrestler back in his high school days. Like he won awards. He was going, like I don't know the stages, but he basically has a banner in the high school with he broke records and stuff like that. And Eli, he's a big time wrestler too, and so I I was too scared to participate in high school because my uncle tried to get me into it, but I was a big kid, and my weight I would have been heavyweight, and I know I didn't have that heavyweight strength, so I wasn't trying to do that. A lot of people don't want to wear the uniform. I was one, but I was more scared of even going out there and getting embarrassed because I wasn't ready. And I'm just being honest.
That's a sport I really enjoy. But
I was just being honest. But I'd like to train. I'd like to get into the octagon at least once and just fight
so do it.
like one of us. Obviously, just
All
like
you gotta do.
you know what? Wait for the DLC videos to drop. Me and someone in DLC want to fight.
All I know is I'm gonna be fighting Jake Paul soon.
Hey, go for it. I'll be in your corner, yo. I'll be in your corner, rubbing your shoulders like you got him, champ. You got him. But that's all we got for you guys today. We hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a little different than we typically run things around here at Balls Deep, but we enjoyed it. We like to do more of this. So if you have any questions for us, hit up the comments or even just message us on social media. We'll love to answer those questions that you guys have for us to help you guys get to know us more, not just our opinions on certain topics, but hey, that's all we got for you guys. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit that notification. Go check out our guys at Expansion Pack Podcast. Next week, we're actually going to have a member from that podcast on here. So, you'll put a face to the name at that. So stay tuned. Like I said, if you guys are interested in the NBA special, make sure to tune in next week. And, hey, before we go, you got anything to say?
No, man, you covered it all. Just like, follow, subscribe, comment. Appreciate the love, and that's it.
All right, until next time.
You're talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. My boy's talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love.
It's your boy. Eat that pussy 445. I want all you motherfuckers to go fuck with my motherfucking main niggas, Devin and Jovan over there at the Balls Deep podcast, my nigga. You feel me? If you guys don't know them, you guys will know them. And if you guys are hating motherfuckers, you guys can go suck a mean ass fucking dick. You know what I mean? Balls Deep with Devin and Jovan. They know their fucking shit. They're funny as fuck. They are, without a shadow of a doubt, the best sports podcast on the fucking planet, my nigga. You feel me? So go check them out.